They say it is the blackest night, the heart of darkness, the hunger that devours souls. The words fall heavy from the bard's mouth, imbued with a mysterious, viscous magic. Those dark thoughts that scratch at the corners of your mind, the branch tapping on your window. Tap, tap, tap. Ever present, ever watching, waiting for you to slip, to give in to the dark urge within. The bard's lips tremble as his words continue to pour forth. He seems pained as he speaks on. Once glorious in life, beings of strength, power, and great hubris. Even in death, their evil-encrusted souls could not be broken, resisting the peaceful rest of the grave. And Shah could not ignore these souls, oh no. Even in death, their malice was to be recognized above all others. Concentrated evil has a certain presence about it, and those with enough hate, too much hate to pass peacefully into the void, are reborn, blessed by the cold, dark embrace of the shadow fell. And from within that cursed realm, the Nightwalkers cometh. They stride forth from the blackest nights, tall as houses, slender as the whipping winds, creeping at the edge of the darkest woods, hiding in the cracks of shadowed rocks, awaiting their opportunity to feast once again on the souls of the living. Indistinguishable from the very nights that they hunt, terror lives in their eyes, and death their hands. Even the air feels the Nightwalker, for its presence is stale, acrid, akin to the corpses of 1,000 dead. Unquenching hunger, unquenchable hunger. But there is hope. Fear not the Nightwalker, for if you have time to do so, chances are that it's already too late. And with that, the bard trails off, allowing the inn and the atmosphere around him to settle down into an uncomfortable silence. The Nightwalker is a huge undead monster that stands roughly 20 feet tall and has incredible powers over darkness and shadow. Hailing from the negative plane, these horrors are wreathed in an aura of billowing darkness and are anathema to all living things, with a basal instinct that compels them to snuff out the lives of any mortal being they come across. And by the 9 are they well equipped to do so. The Nightwalker is absolutely a monster to be feared, and while ranking low on mental-based stats, it more than makes up for it by being incredibly physically resilient, as well as being nigh untouchable by magic, with resistance to, let me catch my breath, acid, cold, fire, lightning, and thunder magic, non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, while having immunity to exhaustion, the frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, and restrained conditions. Oh, and they also have full immunity to necrotic and poison damage. So yeah, these things basically have everything covered. For an unprepared party, the sheer volume of these immunities and resistances essentially doubles the Nightwalker's hit point total, which at 337 average is already thick with 2 Cs. As you would expect, the Nightwalker adds dark vision to its nightmarish repertoire, with its cold, glowing peepers being able to pierce the night for up to 120 feet. So chances are it will be spotting you long before you spot it. Now, as a being from the negative plane, it tracks that the Nightwalker is indeed unusual in nature, and as such does not require air, food, drink, or sleep. This means that once it catches the scent of mortals, the Nightwalker doesn't have to stop at anything in its pursuit to destroy everything that dwells in its path. To add to the sheer terror of the Nightwalker, it prefers to silently float towards its victims, putting its 40 feet fly speed to excellent use. and once it does catch up to you, well, that's when its deadly arsenal of abilities come into play. As the Nightwalker is an almost literal embodiment of anti-life, the billowing shadows that roil around the creature are incredibly dangerous to anything that isn't undead. Even constructs aren't safe, finding themselves rusting rapidly on the spot once caught up within the Nightwalker's annihilating aura. This is an incredibly potent ability, and any creature that starts its turn within 30 feet of the Nightwalker must succeed on a DC 21 Constitution saving throw or take 21 or 66 necrotic damage. Undead, of course, are immune to this aura. Now, if this radiating shroud of pure death isn't enough to sit you down permanently, then the Nightwalker strikes out with multiple attacks. First, attempting to paralyze you with its Finger of Doom, before following up with its trusty enervating focus. Now, Finger of Doom is probably the most potent ability in the Nightwalker's arsenal. This attack has a recharge roll of 6, and it's worth noting that the Nightwalker does start with this ability available for imminent use. Finger of Doom reads as follows. The Nightwalker points at one creature it can see within 300 feet of it. Yes, you read that right, 300 feet. The target must succeed on a DC 21 Wisdom saving throw, or take 39, 60-12, necrotic damage, and become frightened until the end of the Nightwalker's next turn. While frightened in this way, the creature is also paralyzed. If a target saving throw is successful, the target is immune to the Nightwalker's Finger of Doom for the next 24 hours. So this is what the Nightwalker will come at you with first, attempting to get that paralyze in before dropping an enervating focus. Now, enervating focus is a melee weapon attack with a +12 to hit and a 15-foot reach. If it hits you, you will be taking a beautiful 28 points of necrotic damage, or 5d8 plus 6, and the target must also succeed on a DC 21 Constitution saving throw, or its hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to the necrotic damage taken. This reduction lasts until the target finishes a long rest. Target dies if its hit point maximum is reduced to 0. While not being overly intelligent, the Nightwalker does have a process to its attack pattern, and will always try to use Finger of Death first if it has it available. If it doesn't, it will instead double down, making 2 attacks with its enervating focus. What makes the Nightwalker an even more terrifying foe is that if it reduces you to 0 hit points in any way, that's it, job done. Game over. No death saves allowed, as your very life essence is erased from the mortal plane, sent directly to the negative plane, from which the only possible return is that of a wish from the wish spell. Such is the voracious potency of the death magic that the Nightwalker wields. Now, this talk of the negative plane is all well and good, but it's worth a quick dip into the darkened pool of lore that surrounds it to talk about what it actually is, and how the Nightwalkers come to escape their deathly paradise. In short, the negative plane can be found on the very fringes of the Shadowfell, separated by a thin veil of life-draining energy. Stepping over this threshold puts immense stress on anything that isn't undead, and more often than not, will spell the instant demise for those attempting to cross. If you do somehow manage to survive, the plane is bleak, cold, and black, containing an incredible concentration of raw death magic. This plane exists to balance life, and as such, any mortal crossing through while still alive is replaced in the mortal plane by a Nightwalker. The only way to then leave the negative plane is to return the Nightwalker from whence it came. Simply killing it will trap the now plane-bound mortal forever, with no hope of ever escaping. This will doom whoever traded places with it to an eternity within the sanity-draining plane of death. Vice versa, if the replacing mortal dies in the negative plane, it becomes impossible to return the Nightwalker, leaving its destruction as the only viable option. That being said, as the Nightwalker hails from the negative plane, a banish spell could theoretically return them fairly swiftly from whence they came, but that may come with adverse consequences for whoever traded places with the now relocated behemoth. If fighting the Nightwalker on a plane of life is tough, imagine doing it within the negative plane itself. A final thing to jot down is that the Nightwalker will take on certain aspects of the individual with which it has been sent to replace. For example, if a paladin has entered the negative plane, the Nightwalker replacing them will prioritize hunting paladins, or those who worship the same god. A wizard, on the other hand, may have a preference for evocation magic, prompting the replacing Nightwalker to stalk the shadows with an inclination towards those who study that particular school. This means that shrewd adventurers can often put the pieces together to discover who has entered the negative plane, working out their motives for doing so in the process, just by studying the Nightwalker who has jumped through from the negative plane
plane in their place. And this, of course, could be an excellent hook for a campaign arc or one-shot. Now, some more potentials for encountering a Nightwalker could be as follows. Perhaps a lich is hiding its phylactery within the negative plane, and you've sent a cat burglar through the veil to retrieve it, so you can destroy the undead menace once and for all. This of course will have summoned a Nightwalker, and your party must now hold it at bay before your burglar can escape, with phylactery in tow. As previously mentioned, a Nightwalker could mysteriously appear outside of a major city, prompting you to realise that somebody is tampering with raw death magic. This could lead your party to study the Nightwalker for clues about the person who has traded places with it, opening up a much broader mystery to solve. Or maybe you have lured a dangerous foe into the negative plane and must now destroy their replacing Nightwalker in order to trap them in the plane of death for good. However you choose to encounter a Nightwalker, they remain a truly terrifying foe that is resistant or immune to practically everything you can throw at it. It's also one of the only creatures you will ever face capable of dealing you a truly permanent death. And just remember, wherever the Nightwalker and the negative plane are concerned, battle not with monsters, lest ye become a monster. And if you gaze into the abyss gazes also into you. As always, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video on the terrifying Nightwalker, and hopefully I've given you some inspiration to include one of these things in your games. If you liked what you saw, please consider dropping a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. There will be plenty to come in the near future. But until then, perhaps a Neogi creature feature will help inspire your next game. Or maybe my one shot for players tabletop tips video will help you get started with your very first session.